Hello guys and welcome into another episode of Minecraft. Today we're going to be building 4 Hobbit houses in one episode. Yes, 4 in one episode. I have different designs for each one of those and we'll be going through those shortly. And the first one we're going to be starting off with is the one behind me here. As you can see, I have a partially dirt outline here and this is where we're going to be placing the first Hobbit house. So let's get to it. And the first process to starting off the first Hobbit house is to fill in the ground with dirt. We need a level ground to work with, so that's what I'm going to be doing now. So I'm going to try and make each of the Hobbit houses unique and different to each other. So for the first Hobbit house, the idea that I have is to do a tree stump on top of the house. But first, I really need to get the base down so I know what I can work with. And to do that, we need a flat surface. So while I fill in this hole, I'm going to chat with you guys a little bit about where I got the ideas for these builds from. So usually what I do is I hop onto Pinterest and I already have an idea like Hobbit houses and I Google Minecraft Hobbit houses, or I just Google Hobbit houses artwork. And that's specifically what I did for these Hobbit houses. I wanted something that hadn't already been done. So after searching through some different artworks that people had made, I'll pop on screen some of the inspiration that I found, and I basically just found these pictures on Pinterest, and that's how I came up with the ideas for each of the individual styles of the Hobbit houses. One thing that I also want to do is to use some of the blocks that I have never built with before. I want to use different color palettes than just my usual, dark oak, birch, or white wool and mangrove. I want to venture out into some different blocks, so that's also what we're going to be trying today. And let's see which blocks we're going to be using for this first Hobbit house. And on the way back from collecting all my materials, I happened to come across a dog. So I tamed him and he is now mine. So I'm going to take him home and show him his new house. He doesn't have a name yet, so if anyone has a name for him, let me know. Here we are, doggo. This is your new home. Welcome in. We have a lot going on. Over here is our no death board. Over here is our tavern, where our barkeep is an alpaca. Over here we have our big tree man. Don't be scared, he won't eat you. Over here we have our farms. Where you gone? Get over here. Over here we have our farms. Over this way is our pond with our new Filippo in. Come say hello to Filippo. And this is our house. So now we have collected our blocks. What I'm going to be using is acacia because I've never used this before, and we're probably going to use it stripped. And I also wanted to try out jungle logs and probably strip those as well. And besides that, we'll see what we come across. I actually feel like the acacia goes really well unstripped with the jungle, so I might do stripped and unstripped, but we'll see how it goes. I think this combination goes really well together, and my idea is to use moss as the roof. And I feel like this will look pretty good. So to start off making my Hobbit houses, I usually start with the door shape, because the doors of Hobbit houses are usually circles, so I'm going to try and recreate that as best I can.
Let's go!
And after doing the shape around the door, I tend to work on the roof shape next. I tried out the moss, but I didn't like it, so I decided to change it out for dirt, and I definitely feel like that looks better. However, after shaping out the roof with the dirt, I decided that the Hobbit house was going to be very small like this, and it needed some more windows and maybe another door on the side as well. So I decided to extend out the sides. And I actually really struggled with the shape of this one, especially on this side on the left when I'm putting in the door. But I tended to get the hang of it in the end, and you'll notice, especially by my 4th Hobbit house, I smashed it.
Let's go!
And after finally getting the front shape right, it was much easier to place the roof on top and join it into the rest of the land. So this is what I'm going to be doing now. And then I got struck by lightning, of course. Oh god, what just happened? Oh, it was the lightning rod. I was standing too close and I got hit. Please don't hit me again. I need to finish this roof. Oh god, oh god. Bloody phantoms. Oh god, everything's on fire. Okay, that's it. I need to go to bed. Steph, we're going to sleep. Get in your bed. Good night, cruel world. Okay, so now what we have left is to fill in the rest of the dirt and make this become an actual house without a hole in the back of it. Oh, I got stuck under a leaf. So I'm just going to do that quickly and I'll get back to you guys once I finish that, because then we're going to move on to the interior walls and flooring. That took quite some time, but finally all the dirt has been placed, so now it's time to head on inside and work on the interior. So I may have forgotten to record the process of me picking out the blocks. However, I went with acacia for the walls for something different and jungle wood for the floors and the trim because I think it goes well. And then to match the colour palette, I went with some tuff and some stone for the ceiling. So what I've planned to do is just to fill out the rest of the area and have a section going down to Steph's moss and bone meal farm down there. And finally, the interior is almost complete. The only thing we have left to do is the basement, which is the entrance to the farm that Steph has built. But I think it looks pretty good. Let me know what you guys think as well. I obviously have to do the interior, but the last step is this section over here. So let's get to it. The interior is finished. It's not super exciting down here, but it's just quite simple. And now it's time to finish off the build fully. And the final piece of this puzzle is where these torches are, and that is the log on top of the Hobbit house. Now, I usually just start out by placing some logs straight up, and then to add details, I'll add in some slabs, some stairs, and even some fences along the edges so we don't have some harsh 90-degree angles. And then in the center here, I'm going to add the lightning rods. As when the lightning struck me earlier, it gave me an idea. The reason that this tree is a stump is because it got struck by lightning. So it would be nice to have the lightning rods inside, and whenever we have a thunderstorm, you can actually see the lightning strike the tree stump. I think that would look really cool. And there we go. The first Hobbit house is complete. We've got 3 more to go, but I think this one turned out really well. I think it fits in well with the area, and I really am happy with the blocks I chose to use. I hope you guys like it as well, and now it's on to the next one. So the next Hobbit house we're going to be doing is on top of where this sugarcane farm is, and Steph will put an automatic one underneath, I hope. So we're going to remove this sugarcane farm and start building here. And this Hobbit house is going to be the farmland Hobbit house. So I'm going to build it with a farm on top of the roof. So let's get rid of this farm and choose our block palette. So I've decided to go with some more warm tones. So I'm going to be using stripped jungle wood and mangrove planks as well for the main base, and I'm probably going to add in some copper as well. So let's get started on the door. Wait, did the iron golem just spawn next to me? Oh god, they're not spawning there anymore. They're spawning here. What have I done? Don't tell Steph, guys. And I also finished the inside in here using the same color theme as before and did the detailing on the outside. I have a few extra things to do and then it's done. But I think it turned out pretty nice in the end. I do need the copper to oxidize so it becomes green and then it will fit a little bit better. And I seem to have a big problem seeing as I've been working on this house over there. I have accidentally spawned so many iron golems. I've been working on the interior for a few hours and I've come outside and this thing ain't working no more. There's guys everywhere. There's one in here, there's some over there, they're stuck in the farms. I don't know what to do with all of these guys. I have no idea. Well, I guess we've got a civilization over here now that spawned naturally, so that's fun. And now it's on to Hobbit house number 3, and this one we're going to be building over here where this big block of cobblestone is, and then the 4th we're going to build over here. And I think I'm going to make a nice little area in this corner. And I think for this Hobbit house we're going to be using a bit of a simpler colour palette with some dark oak, some calcite, and that's probably it. And I think for this one I'm definitely going to do a moss roof as well, because this Hobbit house is going to be the windmill Hobbit house. So first off, let's start by getting the door in as usual. So I just usually use stairs, trapdoors, and slabs to create the circular shape for the doorways. Like so, and now that we have that shape in, what I'm going to be doing next is placing the calcite for the walls behind this area so that we have a bit more dimension in the build, and this is usually how I start out my Hobbit houses. So let's get placing in them walls. And this is what it looks like with the walls behind, and now we've got the walls in, I'm going to try and figure out how the shape of the roof is going to go. And I figured out that the best way to do this is starting from the top, so the peak point of the roof, and then working my way down to the ground. Sometimes I do 2 or 3 at the same level, just so that the sides can have a bit of extra room to play around with some doors or with some windows as well. So here we have one side finished, and as you can see I've used some dark oak stairs underneath the moss blocks and pulled the moss blocks out one further forward towards us, and this just adds the shape of the curved Hobbit house. It gives you the illusion that it's more curved than it is. And now what I'm going to do is just add a few more details and get the other side worked in. So after quite a bit of puzzling around, I think I have the other side placed in as well, and I think after that this should be the front done. Yeah, and I think it's looking good. So now the next plan is to build up the moss higher so we can fit the windmill on top. So, as I need to fit a windmill coming on either side of this build, I just basically towered up the moss all the way up to the top to a peak, and I left one block on the front, as you can probably see, and that is where the windmill wings are going to go. I had to fix up the front a little bit, and then I could join the moss all the way down to the rest of the landscape so that it fit in nicely with the surroundings. And then once it's all blended in, I can start working on the windmill portion of this build. And now we have even more iron golems spawning here, and I accidentally trapped one inside the hobbit house that I'm working on. Whoops! Well, he can stay in there for now because I need to work on the next section. And to work on the windmill, what we're going to be using is white wool, as I feel like this will look like sails. And I did the first one pretty well, but the second one I got the shape wrong. And this keeps happening. This windmill took me forever to do. I kept getting the shape wrong. It was very confusing. And also I had to move the roof, the moss roof, I had to move it back so that the windmill would actually, if this were real life, be able to function and pass by the roof. But my god, did I get this wrong so many times. You can see I'm changing it again, and then this one, as you can already tell, is completely wrong, so I have to change it again. And finally, after all the issues we went through with this windmill, the outside is complete. Now it's just time to do the interior, and I'll show you what the finished third hobbit house looks like, and then we'll get on to the fourth. So I went with quite a simple interior, but there was one thing that I wanted to add extra, and that is nether bricks for the floor. I've never used nether bricks in a build before, so I really wanted to test out using that in this one. So I decided to make it the floor. It makes a really interesting sound when you're walking across it, but I think it goes with the color palette really well. And this is the finished interior. I went with mangrove netherrack, I went with the white walls and the dark spruce, and then I have this area down here which will lead into an underground redstone area, which I think Steph will make in the next episode. So that is number 3 complete. The windmill is done. Now it's just the chimney one left to go over here. So let's get to that one. Oh god, every time I finish a build there's more and more of these guys. Whoops. Okay, so for the final build, the block palette will be moss, mossy cobblestone, mossy brick, andesite, and spruce. Just the usual, you know, going from a bit of a green gradient into the normal stone, and I'll probably have cut stone in there as well. There we go, the first block of the final hobbit house. I'll speed through this one with you guys, but we're going to go through exactly the same process of what we've already been through. So let's get to it. Oh my god, it's getting worse and worse. What are we gonna do about this mess? I don't know. And we have finally finished 4 hobbit houses in one episode. Let's go. Let's go around and have a look at them. This was where we started with the hobbit house with the tree stump on top. Of course, we have to do all of the interiors fully decorated with all 4 of the hobbit houses, but at least the base of the interiors are done as well. Over here, we actually have the oxidized copper on the front now, which I think looks a lot better. And this was hobbit house number 2 with the farm up the top there. I really, really like how this one came together as well. I think I prefer the outside of this one to the inside, inside because the inside is just one room and it is incredibly small, but we'll see what we can do with that in one of the next episodes. And for the final 2 Hobbit houses, I tried to create their own area over here. It's secluded, it's serene, it's got a water feature, and we have the windmill and the chimney one over here. This one was a challenge. I've never made a windmill before. It was a big struggle to get the actual windmill part right, but I think it looks great with the white tying in with the windmill and the moss. And I'm really happy that I used the nether brick for the interior actually, and of course we have the section over here which will lead down to a farm one day as well. Because that's why I built these Hobbit houses, so we can hide our redstone farms. That's basically it. I decided to go with stone for this because I felt like stone would work really well with the chimney, and I love the entry in the background. And again, for the interior, just quite simple right now with the birch and the mangrove and the spruce as I usually use. And then we used a little back door here to reach to the actual chimney. And yes, this leads to the chimney upstairs as well. I haven't finished the downstairs area off yet, but I'll do that when I do the interiors. I am incredibly happy with all 4 of these Hobbit houses. Let me know which one was your guys' favourite. And that is it for the end of this episode. Don't mind my outfit. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned something building wise because it took me 11 hours to build these Hobbit houses in reality. But I did have a lot of fun with them. Let me know which one was your guys' favourite in the comments, and let me know any Lord of the Rings themed builds that you want to see me complete next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did enjoy, and to keep up to date with our upcoming content. See you guys next time. Bye!